And for this lecture of Module 6, we're going to focus on the vascular and neural anatomy of the upper arm. So the main artery that we're worried about with this region is going to be the brachial artery. So following passing the teres major, the axillary artery is essentially, it's the same artery, it's just going to change the name to the brachial artery. And this artery is going to supply the upper arm region. So if we zoom in, you'll see here. Here's the axillary artery. As we pass the teres major here, we're now the brachial artery. From here, you're going to see some branches of the deep artery of the arm, the middle collateral, the radial collateral, the superior ulnar collateral, the inferior ulnar collateral. And this is basically going to create kind of a network of arteries that are going to supply the arm. So these again are the branches we talked about. So you have your deep brachial artery, which is going to branch to your radial and middle collateral, and the superior and inferior ulnar collateral arteries. So then each of these are applying a network, or providing a network of vessels to supply the upper arm. So if we jump back here, you can see again, as I mentioned,
in this slide,
so
I
this
feel
deep
like
artery is
neurovascular
definitely
anatomy
brachial
much
artery.
arm.
Split
So that would
to
in this slide, I
middle
feel like
collateral here,
there's
definitely
definitely, and as well as the
now we have
so
a
that
heading
branch
of
of
the
the
brachial
arteries,
arteries,
the hand,
superior,
and as well as the
provide
kind of a heading, but it's fairly generic.
It
does also provide kind of
signaling
a heading, but it's fairly generic.
I feel that
so that would also
utilization
violate
of maybe
the
breaking
signaling
this down
principle
into each
I feel that
individual
the innervation of the arm,
terminal branch
is going to be supplied by three
neural
main
anatomy
teams,
of the arm would be more
muscular
beneficial,
cutaneous nerve,
as well as
terminal
including
radial
some
nerve, and
pictures.
cutaneous
Neural anatomy of the arm would be
descriptions.
more beneficial.
I did
as
have
well
a
as including
picture
some
on the
muscular
next
cutaneous
slide,
is
but I
going to
feel
be
like
descriptions
it's better utilized.
I did
have
have a picture
the
on the
description
next
slide,
but I feel like it could be better
brachialis,
branches there would have a picture
brachialis.
the
The
description, so
sensory
that
force
text
is going to
so
be
then I can
more
append 3 branches there within a
kind of
picture
jump
beside
back
track the nerve
text,
and the students
so then I
wouldn't
can
have to
you will
switch
see
from
our
one slide to
muscular
another.
cutaneous
Track that
nerve, one of
nerve,
the
and the
terminal
students
branches
wouldn't
here.
have to switch from
This will
one slide
split to
to another
supply
to get that
the
information.
coracobrachialis here, the long and short head of the bicep, as well as a split to here to supply the brachialis muscle. The radial nerve is going to be roots C6 through C8. The motor innervation will supply the triceps and the anconeus, and the posterior portion of the arm and forearm for sensory responsibilities. So if we look here, this is going to be the radial nerve here. You'll see that is going posteriorly to the humerus, so we're going to supply the triceps brachii here and the anconeus, which is small, but it sits back in here. It will also supply the posterior aspect of the arm. You can see here, if we're zoomed in at our shoulder region, the deep artery, so that's the deep brachial artery of the arm, as well as the radial nerve, run really close to one another. This is one of the spaces where it is actually superficial. So you can have impingement common in this area that can result in radial nerve pain, or pain down the back of the arm and into the posterior aspect of the forearm. Okay, so quick and easy introduction on this one. Again, just as we go through and we look, it's important to know the branches of the brachial artery. So these are your main branches here, and then the subsequent branches here off of the deep brachial artery. From here, really important to know the roots of each of the nerves, as well as what they innervate, both motor and sensory. The last one we didn't mention was the mediocutaneous nerve of the arm, which you will see where. I don't think it's pictured on any of these, but it's obvious for what it does. It is going to supply the medial portion of the upper arm, so this region here, and it will only be sensory in nature. So if you remember back to the overview, refer back to that lecture to get an idea of the dermatome and the cutaneous nerve innervations to see a generalized idea of where it runs.
This final slide is one that I included from the following lecture to the neurovascular anatomy of the arm. In this slide, I feel like there's definitely too much text, so that would violate the coherence principle. And as well as the heading of neural anatomy of the hand, it does provide kind of a heading, but it's fairly generic. So that would also violate the signaling principle. I feel that utilization of maybe breaking this down into each individual terminal branch of the neural anatomy of the arm would be more beneficial, as well as including some pictures with the descriptions. I did have a picture on the next slide, but I feel like it could be better utilized having the descriptions. So let's say, for example, of the ulnar and the 3 branches there, within a picture beside that text, so then I can appropriately kind of track the nerve and the students wouldn't have to switch from one slide to another to get that information.